Okay. It is my great pleasure to have with us today Dr. Ahmad Faizuddin, who is a senior lecturer and program leader at the Center for Higher Education and the School of Education at Sunway University, Malaysia. We're going to be listening to his talk today, and we are delighted to hear about preparing leaders for the future, a 21st century CPD paradigm. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Ahmed to get us started. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vincent, and Educational Research Seminar Series Committee for giving me the opportunity to present my research. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, esteemed college. Thank you for joining in today's session. I'm Ahmad, a senior lecturer, as introduced before, at Sunway University, Malaysia. So today, I will be sharing some key points of my research finding. I would like to begin that in today's rapidly evolving educational landscape, the role of school leaders actually has become increasingly complex as we navigate the challenges posed by globalization, technological advancement, diverse learners, and the need for effective leadership has never been more critical, I think. So that's why I propose this kind of research. So my research is actually delves into the effectiveness of continuous professional development, or what we call CPD for short, in equipping school principals, this one especially in Indonesia, with the necessary skills and knowledge to meet the challenges. So fully that by examining the perspectives of key stakeholders, we aim to identify the what we call the gaps in the current study, especially in the CPD programs, and propose some strategies for improvement. Okay, this research is actually part of today's presentation is actually part of a large research. So the one that I present today is only just perhaps some parts related to the perspective and the effectiveness only. Yeah, so I believe that the 21st century has ushered us in a new era of education that, as I mentioned earlier, is characterized by the technological advancement, globalization, and increasingly diversity among learners, especially. So to thrive in this dynamic environment, schools requires visionary leaders who can adapt to changes and then foster innovation and also drive student success. However, the effectiveness of current continuous professional development, or CPD, in preparing school principals, especially in Indonesia, for these challenges, I would say that it remain questionable. This research aims to investigate the extent to which these programs, the CPD programs, align with the needs and expectation of key stakeholders. So that include the school principals, the teachers, the parents, and policymakers and students themselves. Yeah. All right. I would like to begin with the evolving landscape of education. As we move into the 21st century, education is undergoing profound transformations driven by many key factors. Among the factors are rapid technological advancement, globalized economy, diverse learners, and increasing complexities of school leadership. let's see, for example, the rapid technological advancement we see now with the advancement of artificial intelligence. We have the digital learning, we have the data analytics. Artificial intelligence, or AI, we see the AI powered tools. They are revolutionizing education, from personalized learning platforms to automated administrative tasks in the school level. And then in terms of the digital learning, we have online learning platforms, we have ebooks that we have experienced in the past, and virtual reality experiences. They are transforming the way students learn. And also in terms of the data analytics, we have educational data analytics that can provide valuable insights to inform decision making and improve, of course, teaching practices itself. For the globalized economy, so we have the internationalization, and we also influence the remote works. For that reason, I believe that schools need to prepare students to be globally competitive, requiring a curriculum that emphasizes intercultural understanding and language skills. So that's the nature of work itself in the globalized economies. We can see the rise of remote work, which has implication to education itself. Yeah? As schools must prepare students for a future where the work is increasingly flexible and, I would say, location independent, so that they don't really need physical place to work, so they can work remotely. That's why I mean by the globalized economy. And then in terms of diverse learners, we have points like inclusion, you have points like social emotional learning. So schools must cater the diverse needs of all learners, including students with disabilities, gifted students, and those from different cultural backgrounds. And then with the social emotional learning, schools should address the social emotional needs of students, which is very crucial for their well-being and academic success. And the last point from the evolving landscape of education is the increasing complexities of school leadership. So we are faced with the issues of accountability, the change management, and the stakeholders relations. In terms of accountability, school leaders especially face increasing pressures to improve student outcomes and meet rigorous accountability standards. And then in terms of change management, effective school leadership requires the ability to navigate complex organizational change, and of course to implement the innovative practices at the school. And then in terms of the stakeholder relations, so school leaders are expected to build strong relationship, not only with teachers and students, but also with parents and stakeholders, community members, and other related parties or stakeholders that is essential to support the school success. So by understanding this key trends, school leaders especially can position the schools to meet the challenges and opportunities of the 21st centuries. All right, what is the role of CPD, the continuous professional development in this case, in the 21st century? So the roles to address the complex challenges facing education in the 21st century, school leaders must continuously develop their skills. So CPD programs especially play a crucial roles in equipping school leaders with the tools they need to excel. So the things like the roles of CPD here is to enhance leadership capacity, to promote innovative practices, to foster a culture of continuous improvement. In terms of enhancing leadership capacity, so a school leader must have like skills like strategic thinking, like problem solving, and decision making skills. Those are important when you face many challenges. Yeah. So CPD can help leaders develop the ability to think critically, analyze the data, and make informed decisions. And then also in terms of problem solving, leaders can learn from effective problem solving techniques. Yeah. They can learn from the training how to solve problems effectively. And then the root cause, not only to solve the problem effectively, but to see the root cause of to analyze it and then create problem solving itself. And then in terms of decision making, CPD can provide opportunities to practice decision making skills, considering what we call the ethical implications and potential consequences. So that's the important roles of CPD in the 21st century leadership. Then the second point would be the promoting innovative practices. So now we have the digital literacy, we have the project-based learning, we have something what we call the personalized learning. So that's important. So by participating in CPD, school leaders can stay up to date on the latest educational technologies and their potential implication. So leaders can learn how to implement innovative teaching methods, such as the project-based learning that we have mentioned earlier. So to engage students and promote critical thinking. And also CPD can help teachers and leaders, school leaders, to understand the principles of the personalized learning and how to create a supportive learning environment for our students. And then the last point will be fostering a culture of continuous improvement. This one also important. So the school leaders can learn how to use the data-driven decision making, how to collaborate effectively, and how to make reflective practice to reflect what they are practicing at the school level. So high quality CPD, I would say that by having the high quality CPD, school leaders can develop and can equip them to navigate the challenges in the 21st century and create positive learning environment. All right, moving on the specific to this research. Yeah. So the nature of this research is qualitative research design. So it's purely qualitative approach. I use the site with I interviewed 6 school principals from 6 high schools in Indonesia, and then including 6 senior teachers and 3 staff or officers from the Ministry of Education and Culture. So in terms of the data collection, since it is a qualitative research design, so I use the document analysis and then semi-structured interviews and observation. So for the data analysis itself, the collected data was analyzed using thematic analysis. For those who are familiar with qualitative research design, the thematic analysis is an approach to identifying, analyzing, and interpreting patterns within qualitative data. So we can see the pattern, the emerging themes that evolve from the interview transcript. Then I use the S.Pd.I to analyze, just to beautify the outcomes, and it helps a lot to see the emerging themes, what it produced from the interview transcript. So from that, I was able to identify the key themes and draw meaningful conclusion from the data. Okay, let's move on to the setting. So Indonesia, as a country, it has now about 38 provinces, and Aceh is one of the provinces in Indonesia. In the map, you can see that the red color, that's where Aceh province is located, in the northern tip of Sumatra Island. So Indonesia has many islands, more than 17,000, with 5 big islands, but the tiny islands have more than 17,000. So the research setting is in the Sumatra Island in Aceh province. So if you heard about Aceh, perhaps some of you remember about the tsunami 2004. That's when the disaster happened in 2004. But then the data collection itself was conducted after the tsunami, around 2018, 2019. So in Aceh province, we have 23 regencies. And the focus area of this research is only in 2 districts, 2 regencies, which is Banda Aceh as the capital city, and Aceh Besar, the nearby the capital city. Okay, let's move on. The focus, so as I mentioned earlier, this is part of the larger research actually, but today I would like to focus more on the concept of how do the informants, the stakeholders, perceive the concept of 21st century's CPD, and then what are the benefits of CPD according to the informant. Yeah. Okay, this is roughly the first findings from the first focus, the concept of 21st century CPD programs as perceived by the informants. So the informants, we have the school leaders, which is high school, and then the senior teachers and the officer or staff from the Ministry of Education and Culture. So the combined perspective resulted in some emerging themes from when we ask the concept or what they understand about the concept of 21st century continuous professional development program. So the key findings result in, like, they understand the concept is as professional. When we mention CPD, they understand it as professional competencies or continuous professional training or lifelong learning and community of practice. Okay, here I put some of the excerpt from direct excerpt from the interview itself. So professional competencies, what they refer to professional competencies when we talk about CPD. So they refer to like leadership skills, the digital literacy skills, and also some related to the curriculum development. According to the principle number 2, is a qualification of an educator, including the school leaders, in mastering the materials of learning, materials of teaching, and managing the classroom. And then it is expected that could solve administration problem as school leaders, so like training. So it's a kind of professional competencies according to them. So they perceive, the informants perceive the CPD in 21st century as professional competencies. And then the second findings, the second emerging theme is almost similar, but it's continuous, a continuous process of professional training. It's a form of training. And then almost similar also, it's a form of lifelong learning. And then some new emerging themes compared to the previous research is when we talk about CPD, they understand it as a community of practice. This is something rare actually when we mention about community of practice, because back then in 2018, 2019, especially in Aceh province, this concept is very new, that peer learning, how the informant share the experiences and how they do the mentorship and coaching. This is something new for them. Yeah. All right, that's the first key finding, the emerging theme from the first point. The second point is about the benefits itself, the benefits of 21st century CPD programs. It also has several emerging themes. So when we mentioned about the benefits, yeah, when I asked the informants about the benefits, what do they see, the benefits of the current CPD programs? Majority said it positively, but there are also some implications, that the current CPD programs not really, I would not say that not benefiting, but not really fully effectively used, yeah, to the max. Yeah. But in terms of the benefit itself, they say that attitude change in the form of improving good relationships, in the form of self-confidence, in the form of promoting best practices. So those who already join the CPD programs, most of them will have the attitude change, improve good relationship with teachers, students, and also the other stakeholders, including parents. And they have more confidence to do their job, not only administrative job, but also their job as to lead the school, to face the challenges, and if there are some changes, to adapt with the changes. And of course, when they join the CPD programs, they think that the main benefit is promote best practices, because they can learn from others as well, other school leaders as well, how to do their work, their tasks, their roles effectively. So they share best practices during the training. All right. Okay, moving on. If I can draw some implications based on the document analysis, and then I observe, actually I came to the classroom, then I came to several meetings among the monthly, they have monthly regular meeting for school principals, yeah? So to discuss the issues, or to share best practices. So I do the observations, and also I visited the 6 schools and asked permission to observe the classroom as well, and to observe their daily practices. What do they do on top of the meetings? So I just follow them. What do they do? So the key findings, there is a gap actually between the needs for school leaders and the offering of the current CPD programs. So the implication of this study would be to evaluate the impact of CPD programs on leadership practices. And then there is also, when I observe, there is a lack of emphasis for the 21st century leadership skills. So that's why this research implies that we need to develop CPD programs that are aligned with the needs of 21st century leaders. So based on the findings, when we say that to develop the CPD programs, we expect that the program can address specific needs of the school leaders to face the challenges in the 21st century, especially like the digital leadership. Now we have digital leadership. We have the social emotional learning, and we have the what we call the culturally responsive pedagogy. So that's I think something that we need to include the training providers, the government, and need to include in the training itself. And then number 3 is inadequate opportunities for collaborative learning and action research. So this research imply that there is a need to provide opportunities for action research and also I would say reflection. So we need to encourage school leaders, especially to engage in action research, yeah, to help leaders, yeah, to help them learn from their experiences and improve their practices. Yeah. And the last one would be the need for more flexible and accessible CPD option. So this imply that to incorporate a variety of learning modalities. So not only face-to-face, because traditionally, most of the CPD programs are conducted face-to-face, especially in Aceh province. Only after the COVID that we are shifting to online or hybrid. Yeah, but previously most of the training were conducted face-to-face. Yeah. So that by doing so, I think that we can consider the preference. The CPD program should consider the preferences and the needs of different learners when designing, especially the designer, the learning and delivering the CPD program. So that they should consider now, especially with the advancement of technology, I think that that's not an issue anymore. Right? All right. In conclusion, yeah, the 21st century continuous professional development is essential to empower school leaders in what we call navigating the complexities of modern education. Yeah? So by providing school leaders with the knowledge, the skills, and dispositions that they need to succeed, so CPD programs can have a profound impact on student learning and school improvement. So that is the importance of 21st century CPD for school leaders. However, more research is needed to fully understand the long-term impact of CPD on school outcomes. So I would say that future research should investigate the following: the impact of the CPD models, different CPD model, yeah, how it in fact, how do different CPD models can affect leadership practices and student achievement. Future research can also consider the role of leadership in coaching and mentoring. So how can coaching and mentoring programs can enhance the effectiveness of CPD program itself. And another thing could be to consider also the relationship between CPD and school culture. How does CPD contribute to the development of a positive school culture? So I think by addressing this research question, this research topic, they can gain a deeper understanding of the factors that contribute to effective leadership. And of course, it will inform the development of what we call the evidence-based CPD program. As the nature of the qualitative research, so it cannot be generated to other setting because it's a very specific case of Indonesia and more to Aceh province. So we can learn from the best practices, but it cannot be generalized as the quantitative finding, which is totally different from quantitative finding. Yeah. All right. So I think by investigating the high quality CPD program, we can empower school leaders to create innovative learning environment, to promote equity and inclusion, to enhance school culture. So I would like to call to action that should invest more on the CPD, especially that work best for the school leaders. Should invest more on the high quality CPD programs. And then let's work together to build a brighter future for education by supporting all the programs that does. So I think the collaboration between policy makers, educators, and researchers like us, yeah, to advocate more fundings, perhaps, and to develop the evidence-based CPD programs and promote a culture of continuous learning. That's really significant to promote to design to promote the CPD program that would be benefit for all. Yeah. All right. So and now I think I welcome everyone's input, your thoughts, your question or comments perhaps. So please feel free to share your experiences or perspectives or any suggestion. I think that I would like to mention one more time the future research. I would like to consider since this one is at the school level, high school level. So now I'm working at the college, university level. I think I would like for the next step, I would like to see how the CPD at the higher education level. Yeah. So the effectiveness of the current CPD at school level is important. But I think I would like to see also at the higher education level, how it is practiced and is it effective. And then also since we mentioned of the advancement of technology, the role of CPD, the role of technology in CPD program. Does it really influence the effectiveness of CPD program? And what else? Also the impact of global trend is if anything happens in the world, does it impact the CPD program itself? Right. I think that's all for now. If anyone have any comments, welcome you. Yeah. Thank you. And give back to Jonathan.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Ahmed. Really appreciate that. Okay. Sorry. So this is an opportunity now just to say thank you, Ahmed, for a very engaging and insightful presentation on 21st century CPD. That's given us lots of food for thought. I'm going to now open up a space for people to ask questions and follow on from the provocations and the points you were raising towards the end there. So we've got one question from Mahaila. Are you happy to ask that yourself, or would you like me to?
In the
I am
chat
happy
box?
for you to ask it. It's okay.
Oh,
Okay. So Mahaila was just asking whether you could give a bit more information about the setting of the interviews. And maybe that's the first one. And the second one is then some more insights from the document analysis. Mahaila, are you making a distinction in terms of, and maybe it might just be a clarification, the document analysis, the documents, Ahmed, were just the transcripts, or were they separate documents? So just a bit more clarification, I think, on the methodology in the first instance.
all right. Okay. Thank you for the question. Okay, for the first one, the session for the interview, since I have 3 different categories for the informant, the school leaders, the first category, and the second one, the senior teachers, and then the officers or staff from the Ministry of Education and Culture. So for the school leaders, so I select the 6 of them from 6 different high school, and make the appointment to meet them personally. So once they agree, so I propose the list of the research question with the intention that I inform them the intention of the research, and then most of the interview were conducted around 1 hour to 2 hours session during their free time. Some at the school itself, some at home, and some in the coffee shop. Aceh is known for the many coffee shop, so we met at the coffee shop and do the interview session. So I recorded the responses, and then after that I transcribe it, word by word, and then I analyze once the transcription is ready, analyze it using the S.Pdi. So that's how I come with the thematic analysis and the emerging themes. So the same case with the senior teachers. They are compared to the school leaders itself, actually. So I want to see a different perspective. So I also invited the senior teachers. When I say seniors here, they need to be, they have their experience more than 5 years already, at least 5 years. But most of them in this case have 10 to 15 years of teaching experiences. So they know well the school cultures. They have attended at least 2-3 CPD programs. But at the same time, when we interview the senior teachers, I think they are more busy than compared to the school leaders themselves. So finding the time, the right time, is a little bit difficult. I faced that. And then for the officers from the Ministry of Education, I choose three of them who is really close who are the handling the training program itself. So they know the CPD programs provided for school principals, and they know the challenges, they know the actual training, how it was conducted. Okay, so I think I learned the most regarding the policy, the challenges from the officers from the Ministry of Education themselves. But then it comes to the second issue, the second question about document analysis. So first, they have the guideline. Actually, the Ministry of Education have the guideline for the CPD program. So I try to analyze that first, and then they have some also what we call in Indonesia we call like a books, a guide books, how to do the training, and what should the school leaders follow in that training. But that's a very old reference. So with some some of the others document analysis. Okay. What about the training and CPD for senior teachers? Okay, since my focus is for the school leaders, I didn't for this research I didn't really dig into the senior teachers, but the practice is senior teachers also have not only senior teachers actually, teachers also have the CPD programs that is different from school leaders, because when we talk about school leaders, the job, the role, their roles are different. But for the teachers themselves, they have like every 6 months. So in Indonesia, every 6 months, they need to have for teachers, at least they need to have 1 or 2 CPD programs. Yeah. But for the school leaders, they need to have more than that. Yeah. So every 2 or 3 months, they need to attend one training at least to increase their knowledge and to know the updates from the government themselves. I hope that that's the answer. Is there, you would like to comment anything?
Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yes, clarify some stuff that I was very interested actually where the interviews took place. So the cafeteria, it was interesting because being the cultural context, I was questioning to what extent they actually answered honestly, and if the interview happens in their office, there might be some unconscious restriction in actually answering the questions. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you for highlighting that.
Perhaps that point leads to the question by Dian. Is there any effect of corruption with respect to the process and result of the CPD implementation effort? I think you can see that question in the chat.
Right, let me see. Yeah, okay, my first answer, absolutely yes. But this one goes with my different research question, yeah, with the process of the CPD itself, CPD program itself, how they select the participants, and go way back to how they conducted the CPD itself. Yeah, actually I have some before the interview session. So I have I would not say private session, but I have a unofficial session, with the school leaders. Yeah. The one that I interviewed, actually, they go through the formal step how to become the school principal. Yeah. But I heard that there are some issue as well. Those who become the school principal can also become a school principal without the right process. So that's, I think, the issue of the corruption, and not only the corruption, I think the nepotism play a role there. So some school leaders, yeah, they become the school principals without the right process, because they know someone from the ministry, they know someone from the government itself. So that's the practice. Yeah. But then when it comes to the CPD program itself, yeah, sometimes since they are being the school principals without the right process, I think the quality, their quality, even though they even though they undergo the CPD program itself, the quality is different from those principals who have the right process to become the school leaders. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions from anyone? Can I then ask a question, Ahmed?
Sure.
You've made a very strong case for the need for CPD in schools, particularly for the 21st century. And at the beginning, you sort of contextualized that in relation to the global trends and the shifts, I guess, less in school education around transnational education, but generally how there's a shift in education, and how technology plays a part of that as well. I'm just interested in whether you have any reflections on where CPD might be going in the future with respect to the quite dramatic increase and use of generative AI, for example, and the implications that has for school. You alluded to it a little bit, but have you any sense from your interviews about how professionals were feeling about that and where they felt the need might be as you move into a kind of a different phase where technology plays such a central role?
Yes. Thank you, Jonathan, for highlighting this. Okay, I think one of the new finding from this research is the need for the community of practice. Yeah, as the technology advance, we use a lot of AI now, and I think that there is still a need for the element of human touch. Yeah, that in that sense, the technology cannot replace the human. Yeah, although some might be very confident with and comfortable with using the technology, I think the human touch itself is still needed, yeah, especially with the CPD program when we learn best practices. So I think we need to do the actual interaction with human themselves. And that's the first point. The second point is about in terms of the ethics itself. Yeah. So I don't think that we can learn the ethics from the technology. Yeah. But I think we need to use the technology ethically. But to learn best the ethic itself, I think we need to interact with human being. Yeah. So that's why I think the way I see the future CPD program, yeah, I think it's the best to blend the technology to do it, but still a need for the direct interaction with human being.
Yeah, good.
I think that's
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that resonates probably with how most people in our department would feel about the use of AI. And nice for you to kind of recognize the human relational aspect, but also the ethical dimension of that too. Thank you, Ahmed. Mihaela, you have another question there.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan. Somehow very much related to your question, but on the other way around, because we speak about 21st century and leadership in 21st century. However, the 20th century ended up, I don't know, 24 years ago. And I don't know how it is in Indonesia, but in my country, in schools, there are leaders or principals which managed to be leaders in the 20th century, and they are still there currently. Not very common in the UK, but very common in other countries. I was wondering if you have a similar situations there in your country, and if in your research you came across differences between what used to be at the beginning of their career and what it is now. And I say this because if we look at the consideration that you mentioned at the beginning, technological advancements, we had a sort of this in last century as well, but at a different level, obviously. And globalization was there, diversity was there. So obviously now there are specific things which are, relevant for this time and not relevant for that time. But overall, thinking like conceptual, came out across information from them that, yes, when I started the career, it was this, and now that I have to learn this X, Y, Z, and if yes, what were the differences? If no, well, no. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thank you. So may I know from which country are you?
I'm Romanian.
Romanian. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the question. I think with the case of Indonesia, I will not generalize, but yeah, when I studied, because I studied the high school and I spent most of my earlier school and my first degree in Indonesia before I moved to Malaysia. So the practice is when so first of all, we face very rapid curriculum changes. Yeah. So when the ministry changed, they changed the curriculum, they changed the policy, they changed many things in the education, including the textbook. And then this year's change, so because Indonesia is very wide, yeah, might not, let's say Aceh is just not far from the capital city. The capital city of the Indonesia is in Jakarta, Java Island. So so I'm living in the Sumatra Island, which is very far away from the capital city. Sometimes this year textbook will come to us after 1 or 2 years. So just imagine what we are left with. We don't know the first. I would not say that technology. Of course, I have some debate, some discussion with my supervisor when I proposed the 21st century. That's not really goes well with the term itself now, yeah. But in my case, yeah, that would be I think the practice is still way behind, yeah. I say we are still living in the what I call the 21st century, although it's, yeah, I agree, long time ago, around 20 years ago. Yes. I hope that's answer. We have a perhaps similar or I think much more complex in Indonesia with this case. Yeah.
And maybe if I just follow on, Anne-Marie Houghton has had to leave, but she asked, she said, thank you very much for an interesting seminar. She wanted to know whether there were any differences between Indonesia and Malaysia in your experience then with respect, I suppose, to CPD or education more generally.
I think I must say sorry for the case of Malaysia, because I'm just currently residing in Malaysia, so I've yet to research about at the school level, especially because I joined as the lecturer at the university level.
Okay.
Yeah. Perhaps you can do some research, further research.
Good idea. Good idea.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from those? Just I'll use my chair's prerogative then. Just you were mentioning Ahmed about future research, and you noted that at the end, and you said that this presentation was based on research in schools in Aceh. Can you tell us a bit more about what you're planning with respect to universities or colleges? And will that be in Malaysia or will that be in Indonesia? And do you anticipate similar things that would come out, or going into this, do you think the needs will be very different for university staff and personnel compared to schools? So two questions, sort of. One, where will that happen? And two, what do you think the differences between school and universities might be?
Okay, I think for the future research, I would like to do it in the form of the comparison, yeah. Because now I know the practice at the school level. Yeah, you can always compare with the practices at different level of education. Not only in Indonesia, but also can be in different. Perhaps you can start in Asian countries like Malaysia, Singapore, because compared to the practice in Indonesia, I believe that Malaysia and Singapore has a different approach when it comes to CPD programs at the school level, especially. But then when we talk about the CPD programs at the university level, I think it's a totally different case. Yeah. Perhaps comparison might not be the best case in this scenario, but I think we can see the different paradigm, yeah, different models that can suit the public or private universities. In that way, I think we can do a lot more with the research. Yeah. Currently in Sunway University, so we have a special department that cater for the training for all the staff. Yeah. So Center for the Academic Development. So I think they do a good job in providing almost every month. Yeah, they provide. Recently, we have the AI training, so to improve the understanding, the implementation of AI in teaching and learning, in doing our work as lecturers. So in that way, I think private university has done really good job. And I came previously from the public university. In that way, yeah, public university, I think is still left behind. What the most current technology, I think private would be the first to implement the new technology stuff. Yeah.
Interesting. Yes. Brilliant. Let me just come to Jan first of all, and then perhaps I'll come back to Mihail if that's okay.
Thanks very much, and thanks for this great talk. I just actually want to pick up on that last point you were making about public and private, because I just want to check my understanding. Because I think in Malaysia, what is meant by private university might be different from many other countries, in that these might be private, but they actually also have a strong civic commitment. Is that correct? My understanding that they may be private, but they're not they're not just there for the money.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can put it. Whereas because I think for some of us in some countries, that's what we associate with a private university.
I see.
But my understanding is in Malaysia, they actually take a very different, and other parts perhaps of Asia, they take a very different character and can have a very strong civic commitment as part.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have both type, yeah, for profit and for non-profit as well. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Mihaela, then, do you want to ask your question?
Yes, thank you. I would like to have a little bit of detail. So in the schools that you made the research, you were placed to research, how big are they? And I'm asking this because in a point I had a colleague from Jakarta who said that, the primary or secondary schools, they are huge in terms of student numbers. And I think that's a very different experience for a principal when they have a school with, 10,000 students and a school with 1,000 students. And personally, I do not have that experience as secondary or a primary school to have so many students. So in the case of your research, how are these schools in terms of the size of the student numbers?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Since I researched the high school, in terms of the students teachers ratio is still ideal. Yeah, in Indonesia, since we have the primary school, of course, there's many students. Yeah, some school might have, but again, we have two streams in Indonesia. So the school that I visited is under Ministry of Education and Culture. So there's like a general stream. Another stream is like a religious affair, Ministry of Religious Affair. So they have religious school. So those who, and then we also have the like non-government school, yeah, which is fall under the traditional school. The government acknowledge the existence of this type of school. It's like boarding school, the traditional boarding school. So we have 3 types. I think more than 3 types of the school. Yeah, but in terms of the general stream, yeah, under the Ministry of Education and Culture, the primary school level, I think in the past, now I think it's more ideal, the comparison between the ratio between the students and teachers. But in the past, I also teach in one of primary school in the past, yeah, a long time ago, yeah. So in one class could be 40, 50 students in one class. So sometimes it's difficult to handle like 40, 50, yeah. And you have all of them have question, you don't have time to answer all. And then when they move to the secondary school, so some of them drop off out of the school, and then that's why when it comes to the high school level, the ratio is, I think, more balanced, because not all primary school students will continue to the next level. All right. I hope that's answer the question.
That's great. Thank
Well,
you. Oh,
yes, but in the schools where you did the research, what was the ratio, or was this huge schools, or they were like smaller schools?
I think as I mentioned earlier, because this is high school, this one is a balance, not really high, not really low.
Okay, thank you.
The most common one for the high ratio is a primary school. This research is in high school. High school is still ideal. The ratio is still ideal.
excellent. Well, I think any final questions from anyone? I think that's probably all the questions we have, and a really nice engagement with the topic and responses as well, Ahmed. I'm really pleased that you were able to do this for us. So it just leaves me then to say thank you and to show our appreciation to Ahmed for joining us at what is now probably 9:30 or at night. So really do appreciate you giving up your evening to do this for us. I'd also like to extend my thanks to Rebecca Marston and Catherine Doherty, both who have made this possible administratively and technically, and helped with all the checks and getting us all here appropriately, and much appreciated. So I'm going to stop the recording here, and then I'll just finish up with a few bits